Yes, here we are. And Judy England-McCarthy, please introduce yourself, tell us where you are, and please tell us a story.
Hi, I'm Judy England-McCarthy, and I'm located in Linden, New Jersey. And this is a fable that I created myself. So I hope you enjoy it. It's a little more upbeat than the last hour or so. So hopefully I'll move you into a new energy. Long ago, when animals were still speaking the same language, and when all people were yet but a twinkle in mankind's eyes, when India was young, there existed in India a village where 4 animals lived. The greatest of these animals was a pachyderm. This Hati was the village's historian, for she could remember things long forgotten by most of the other animals. And though she was large, she possessed a gentleness of spirit that emanated from her, radiated from her. So the other animals affectionately called her Big Ears, or BE for short. Now, the second resident of this small village, well, that was what was known as the ship of the desert. He was a beast of burden because he carried things both near and far. And when he carried these things both near and far, well, unfortunately, he was a crotchety oont. And he was part of the Artiodactyl clan, and the other animals, well, they called him Callous Foot, or CF for short. Then there was Boz. Well, she was a bovine, and she was the spiritual and religious leader of this tiny little village, for she could see deeper into life's mysteries, life's secrets than any of the others. Then there was the last resident. Well, it was a Galliformes. And a Galliformes is a fancy name for a heavy-bodied, ground-feeding bird, a punchy. Now this punchy, well, the other animals, well, they had a nickname for him, and it was the complaining bird. Perhaps you know people like that. It complained here, it complained there, it complained everywhere. It complained up, it complained down, it complained all around. But the thing it complained most about was about being so plain. Well, and as luck would have it, the story today I'm about to share with you is about that very same bird. You see, the other animals, understanding its nature, well, they tried to avoid it as often as they could. But as you know, trying isn't the same as succeeding. And every so often, well, this complaining bird would find them. And then they would have to endure non-stop onslaught of complaining. And today was one such day. CF was busy chewing his enjoyable meal. And he was so much enjoying his meal that he forgot to keep an eye out for that very same complaining bird. Unbeknownst to the Artiodactyl, this complaining bird sidled up next to him and started off. Callous Foot, why am I such a plain complaining bird? But it didn't stop there. The bird went on and on and on until finally CF said, well, each of us has her own special gift. My gift is being a beast of burden. I carry things. You must go out and find what it is that is your gift. Go see Boz. After all, Boz is our religious leader. She's closer to God than any of us. Then the bird said, "You're no help. What a complete waste of time." And off the bird went. Boz was sitting, eating, and grazing in her usual spot. And she was just on the outskirts of town or the village and at the water hole by the lake. And she looked up because she didn't run away from the complaining bird. After all, she was a sacred animal, and she realized, unlike the other animals, she didn't need to change anything to make it suit her. She accepted everyone and everything for who they were. She was also a very good listener and actually had the patience of a saint. The bird, well, she listened to it go on and on and on and on. But because she was a holy bovine, she was able to understand that underneath that incessant complaining was actually a lack, a desperate desire to feel something that was missing. Eventually, the complaining bird said, "Boz, CF said that you might know what my gift is, or perhaps you can tell me why I'm such a complaining bird." "Alas, my friend, I do not know why you are the way you are, but I have heard that there exists a Bodhi tree. And this Bodhi tree has the power to show you who you really are." "Oh, now I have to go see a tree? Where is it?" "Well, alas, I do not know. It was a long time ago that I heard of this tree. I think it was BE that told me. Perhaps she might be able to help you." "Thanks," said the bird, because after all, this was a sacred animal, and everyone always thanks a religious person. Off the bird went. Now, BE, unlike CF, looked out for the complaining bird because she didn't want to be found by it. So when she saw him coming, she hid behind a tree. As things would have it, though, the tree was slender and, well, BE is rotund, so she didn't do a very good job of hiding. "BE, CF said that I should go see the saint. After going seeing the saint, she told me I need to go find a tree, but she couldn't remember where it was, so she said I should come and see you." Now, BE stepped aside of the tree and said, "Well, is this the tree?" "No, that's not the tree. It was a Bodhi tree." "Oh, a Bodhi tree, pondered the pachyderm. After much reflection, because this town historian didn't send anything into oblivion and could re-account for everything, eventually came up with, "I know where it is. You need to go up 3 hillocks and down 3 inclines, and it's at the bottom of the last incline." "You mean to tell me I have to walk all that way to see a stupid tree?" "Well, if you want to see the Bodhi tree, that's the only way you can go about seeing it." Without even a thank you, that belly-aching bird headed off towards the hillock. On the journey up the first hillock and down the first incline, that bird bewailed her fate. She bemoaned her plight as she carried on up the second hillock and down. By the time she got just below the first, up before the third hillock, she was exhausted. And she said, I can't go any further. But then she saw the hillock and thought, well, I'll have to. And you know what? As it happened, that hillock was colossal. So she complained a little bit more and then headed up and down. By the time she got to the bottom where the Bodhi tree was, his feet were aching, and he was complaining about everything in his poor wretchedness state. And then he saw the tree. You have got to be kidding me. I have traveled all this way to see that scraggly tree. You wait till I get back. I'm going to give everybody a good tongue lashing. This was a complete waste of time. But I'm so weary. I need to have a sleep before I get back and tell them off. And the bird did fall asleep. And as it slumbered, well, that Bodhi tree, which was indeed the enlightened topiary of repute, reached down and planted a seed in the humdrum creature's heart. Eventually, the creature woke up and started to complain, oh, my back hurts. Oh, are they ever going to hear it from me when I get back? What a complete waste. And off the bird went home. When it got up the first hillock, it saw a beautiful flower in bloom. Now, that flower had been in bloom before, but the bird had been so busy being malcontented on the way there, it hadn't noticed it. But this time it did. And a little tiny bit of that seed grew. An infinitesimal amount of the heart opened. And when it did, a huge long feather came out of its butt. This weird occurrence kept appearing more and more as the bird continued to see more and more beautiful objects out there, and its heart started bursting with joy, until finally its whole backside was covered in a splendid view of long, lengthy feathers. Time flew, and just like the god Helios awakening the morning sky, the bird arrived back at the village on the outskirts and looked at his reflection on the inside. And when he saw his reflection, he realized he's a beautiful bird, both inside and out. When mankind finally came to the earth and called it a peacock, that peacock is to remind us that it doesn't fly like other birds, because it's to show us that beauty is always within our reach. The eyes on the peacock are to remind us that there is numerous beauty out there. We just have to look and see it. And lastly, the peacock is there to show us that in order to enjoy the splendor of the world, one must open one's heart inside. I hope you enjoyed that.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody, any responses? Comments, questions, resonations?
I love the fable, the way you made animals come to life. But the best thing is how you acted each one and how you didn't forget which one is which. You didn't seem to have any problems. So I thought that was the best thing, because I would have got very confused whether I'm the elephant or the camel or the a bovine or the peacock. I would have always forgotten which one I am, but I thought you did a wonderful representation of everyone. And most of all, I love the lessons that you brought
Oh,
up. in
thank
your
you.
paper.
Yeah, it's to get people to just stop complaining and, you know, see the world that's out there.
And you brought the peacock, and you described the peacock so beautifully into the fable. So I thought that was brilliant.
Thank you.
It was very rhythmic, you know, the way you paced it out. I, it was a surprise, you know, the ending was a surprise, and it was really very different. I really loved it, Judy. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm hoping to make it into a children's story. But you know, on older kids, that's why I put in the different words and stuff, because I'm trying to make it so that an older group of kids can find out, you know, a little bit about, it's not about, you know, it really is about looking inside for answers. Well, I love the comments on the side. Thank you so much. I mean, in the chat. I see all these lovely enthusiasm, energy. Oh yeah, energy is one of those things that, that's why I like to tell stories, is because I have lots of energy to share.
And I think you lifted our mood from what we were actually, it's still settling in. Your story is a good transition actually for us to move from very heavy topics that we covered, you know, from few hours.
Yes, exactly. I actually was a little daunted. I was like, oh, I'm coming after death, you know. But I figured anything coming out of someone's butt has got to make people laugh.
Yes, I love your energy. Thank you so much. Thank
Oh,
you.
hi, Eric. So, John
Yes.
Richardson. Hi.
Yes.
Oh, hi, Rupa.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any thoughts about this Judy's performance? Of course, as has been mentioned, great acting.
Thank you. I'm going to be switching downstairs so I can see it. I did this in front of my screen, so I'm going to be switching off after this and running down to so I can sit in a comfortable chair rather than stand through the next couple of hours. So, but thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm glad you find me funny and you enjoyed my acting. And I hope, as you said, it lifted the spirit of you guys for the stories to come. Thank you very much.
Yes. So Judy, you have a studio there, it seems.
Well, I tell stories, and when the libraries dried up because of COVID, my son, who is more techno than me, he helped me set up. So this is like a green screen, and I can put any background. And then there's a camera. But the trouble with it is that, you know, I can't, it's not like I'm at a computer, I'm in front of a camera. So the nice thing is that then I can record things and then and I've managed to get a few of my stories to libraries who paid me a little bit for the recordings. So it's not quite the same as telling live, but it is an interesting way, because I would never have been able to tell the people all over the world. So now I can say I shared my story worldwide, which is really a wonderful, wonderful gift that you guys have provided by setting this up.
Great. And where's your microphone?
My microphone is actually up here. My husband, who's an electrician, worked it out. I mean, I've been very blessed because I have to tell you this, none of this would have happened just if it wasn't for the capabilities of those around me. So I'm always humbled by the fact that I may have something I want to share, but you need the whole universe to work with you so that it can happen. Actually, just before, I know I didn't have the mic, but just before, Howard was talking, my picture wasn't working. And my son was over here and he was going, I can't believe it. It worked all day. It worked yesterday. It's not working. And I said, okay, well, maybe I'll have to run downstairs and just do it from the chair. No, I can fix it. So you never know what goes on behind the scenes, right? Like there's all this stuff and you just got to hope and cross and pray that it all works out. So
Yes, well, thank you very much to your son and to your husband. The sound is excellent. And
good.
Yes.
And you have my permission. I don't need to see it, but you do have my permission. I would love to share this joy with everybody out there. So you have my permission to send it and put it on the website.
It's going
Okay?
into the library. Thank you so much.
All right.